Good afternoon, everybody. I'm your host, Crystal. This is another edition of the 9 o'clock Meltdown podcast, and over Facebook video, I have two members of the band God's Holy Blood, a brand new act to the Twin Ports here in Duluth. With me, I've got Andy Lipke. You're a veteran of the show. You're kind of the hired gun of the Twin Ports. And then I have Starr, who is brand new to the show. Hello, hello. But you are a veteran musician in your own right. So welcome the both of you.
Hello,
Hi.
folks.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, of course. So to kind of kick stuff off, you're both kind of veterans in the Duluth music scene. Andy, I think the first time we talked, I called you the hired gun of the scene. You were playing in everybody's band, it seemed like.
I love it.
At the time.
That's been my brand for the about 18 years I've been up here.
Nice, nice. And then Starr, you and I actually met back when you were with Rooftop Fable, and that was several years ago now, so...
I mean, before the pandemic, so it's been a while now.
Yeah.
Glad to be back in it. After that band, I wasn't doing much. Well, I guess no one was doing much, to be fair.
I was.
Yeah?
I was one
Partying
of
hard during the pandemic?
Yeah, I was one of the few people who actually kept a steady music gig over the pandemic. I was able to keep a monthly spot at the Thirsty Pagan in Superior, where basically I would go up on stage all by my lonesome, and I just would not leave the stage until it was time to go home.
I remember that Andy reassured me by being like, no, I'm just off from the stage. I don't chat with anyone. I don't interact. Just go on stage and play and then leave.
They had very good measures in place, as much as anybody could, as far as keeping tables separated and stuff like that, and masking. So I felt like it was a calculated risk, and it helped keep my sanity over the interim. So.
Yes, of course. I think a lot of us were craving that human interaction. I know a lot of us kind of use the music scene to interact with each other and things like that. So good for you for keeping stuff going. How did that come about for you? Did Thirsty Pagan reach out to you? Did you reach out to them? What was that like?
Well, it's been several years that I've been playing there pretty regularly, just as a solo or occasionally as a duo acoustic act. So we basically just kept it rolling. I think I missed a month or two at the very beginning because things were just so unsure and so unusual. But after things kind of settled down a little bit, I was like, okay, I'm ready to come back and do something. I'll just sit up on stage instead of mingling and hanging out at the bar. So I just get up and play for 3 hours, and that was that.
So what kind of music was that? I know you're a really avid guitar player. Was it kind of more acoustic, melodic music? Did you do some singing in there?
Well, yeah. What my solo act is basically sort of a mix of very classic country, classic rock, old folk, a lot of Grateful Dead covers, Bob Dylan. It's kind of mixed of just the stuff I like to play when I'm just sitting around the campfire or hanging out with buddies. Just it's kind of as much for me as it is for everyone else.
You often throw in some sort of improvisational, atmospheric stuff.
There is.
Too.
Yeah.
That's fun to hear.
There's a lot of improvisation, especially when I have somebody playing percussion or something else, that can take a different dimension. But yeah, it's very very improvised at times, depending on how strong the beer is that I'm drinking.
I love it. Let's jump into why we're here. God's Holy Blood. The name itself just kind of screams heavy metal, which I was looking up on your Facebook page, and you call it stoner metal or stone metal.
Yeah, it's like stoner rock, stoner metal. It's maybe got some doom elements to it. It's the way I envisioned this band was as something very, very like Black Sabbath with a female singer.
Okay,
that's kind of the big vision for it, was to be something very heavily influenced by that type early 70s proto metal, and then with a pretty lady doing all the singing and leaving me to just focus on guitar, where in previous groups I've always been the singer as well.
Okay,
and
all right.
I'll say it is a pet peeve of mine. The guitar guys who then just think they can sing lead. You're pretty good. You're pretty good.
I've been doing it a long time.
You've been doing it a long time, and I know you've worked at it, but it's like pet peeve, when I was in high school.
I'm a utilitarian singer.
When people start bands and the guy's like, well, I guess I'll sing. I'm like, there are people who train for years to be excellent singers. Use a singer. Like, don't just get someone who's, like, not completely tone deaf to sing. Like, there are talented singers, like... And honestly, I think it's more fun to watch someone who's just singing rather than someone who's stuck behind a guitar.
That can be true, yeah.
So, I mean, there are, of course, plenty of examples where I'm wrong and someone's super talented in everything and still entertaining. But a lot of us not superstar performers, like, just get someone who's great at singing.
Yeah.
Don't pretend like you're as good a singer as you are a guitar player.
Okay. So, Starr, you're talking about just having someone using their voice as their instrument versus the kind of acoustic singer-songwriter mix is kind of what you're leaning at.
Well, specifically, I'm thinking like rock bands. Like, singer-songwriter is great, love to see them at a cafe and stuff. But if you're in like a band, like a rock band performing, and it's like...
Or it's a show.
It's a show. It's not just ambient music in the background. It's a show and people are watching.
Okay.
Or, first off, if you're gonna bother having vocals in a song, they should be good vocals. It should not be like sometimes for like guitar people or just people who are focused on their instruments.
Right.
They aren't always focused on
Yep.
Most of your average people are pretty tuned into the lyrics, which is not always what the musicians think first. And then, like I said, I like a show. So I think that's something that I bring to the band. Andy had the concept. He came up with the concept, and he's always been, a metalhead, and it's cool to help him do that. And for me, I was like, I've always really wanted, like, the front person. And the last band, I was playing bass, which is pretty much the opposite of the front person. The stereotype of the bassist kind of not totally there. It's a thing. But I was like, I just want to sing. I just want to like dance around.
Well, hold on. The roots of this band go back to Rock N Roll Kamikaze 2019.
This is true.
Which my band won. I should mention. But Starr's band, you fronted that band. You sang, and she did such a great job. I was like, I need to start a band with Starr as the lead, as the singer. And so we did that, and we finally got once COVID started to get not so scary.
As soon as we got the vaccines, we were brainstorming at home. Like, what could costumes look like? And it's like, yeah, I really want to
we had
sing,
all the concepts figured out and everything.
Started some songs. We're like, okay.
Stage names.
And we're like, when can we actually meet people to do this? So we're just waiting until we all got shot up.
We got a couple guys interested, and as soon as we were all vaxxed, we got together and we got to work.
Yeah, very cool. I was actually going to ask how did this formulate and come together? So it sounds like Rock N Roll Kamikaze is the answer to that one. And for those who don't know what Rock N Roll Kamikaze is, it happens every year. Basically, everybody just throws their name in a little basket. And Heiko, who's been doing this for many, many years, just kind of draws people out of the basket. You get thrown in a band together, you get one cover song to do, and then you gotta come up with all the rest of the songs for it. And then it's a competition night from 7 to 1 in the morning, and...
Something like
that. It's a long one. Yeah.
It is a very long one. I've partaken in Kamikaze several years, which is very cool. And a lot of good bands have kind of come out of that. I know Sheila Wonders had a band that was birthed out of that as well. God's Holy Blood is now birthed out of Kamikaze. So maybe we all should be sending Heiko a thank you note.
It's a staple of the Duluth music scene. And has been for years and years.
Yes, very true, very true. So, Starr, you were in a different band in Kamikaze. Andy, you were in a completely separate one, and then you kind of married the two together. I was also checking out your Facebook page before we started this interview, and it looks like your bassist is actually Mike Guello, who is another kind of hired gun in the music scene as well.
Absolutely.
And he is more known for playing bass and really coming up with that solid kind of rhythm and melody that people jive to. Did you have to ask him to kind of be in this band? How did that one come about?
Well, really, all I did was I put a post up on the Duluth musicians Facebook group, and I just said, hey, I'm starting a new band. This is the sound we're looking for and what we want to do, and we need a bass player and a drummer. And I had the first two guys who responded have been in the band for a year now.
Very cool.
I didn't realize they were the first two guys.
They were the first two guys to show up. They got the gig.
Great.
Nice. So no auditions or anything like that? You're just like, yeah, come out.
We got together a couple of times and just jammed, came up with some ideas, hung out, chatted, and they wanted to keep coming back, and, we thought they were cool, so we've been doing it ever since.
We also just really wanted to jump in.
We wanted to get it going.
We'd been waiting, so I think we were like, yeah, these guys are great, let's go.
Yeah.
It's been good. It's been a good team.
Yeah, they've been a really, especially John Lepke, the drummer, has been actually he's had a lot of good contributions to the songs and the songwriting and stuff as well. So he's been a boon to the group. And Mike just does what he's told at all times, which is also excellent.
Mike is very chill. He's very chill. He goes with the flow. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Mike embodies the bassist vibe. I can attest to that. I've played with him as well.
Stereotypical bassist.
Very true.
Great.
Yes. So you guys have had a couple shows. You've played Wusos now and again. You're going to play Homegrown, this upcoming Homegrown. You just got done recording your first CD. What is going on the docket now? What are you guys looking forward to? Are you guys looking forward to summer and playing more shows? Or are you looking at the next EP? What are your next steps?
Well, right now, since we're pretty much done with the album, we're just the finishing touches are happening on it right now. Right now, the focus is to rehearse our Homegrown set and then continue to work on new material. So as soon as we got that album in the can, it was boom, boom, boom. We got some new songs to work on. Keep things rolling. So we've got Homegrown. We've got a show May 27th happening after that. We're hoping that any hype we build up over Homegrown can carry over and bring some people to our May show. And then after that, it's all about the album release party.
Perfect. Excellent.
When is that?
That's this summer.
Great.
We need an album, and then we'll figure out that.
Okay, we'll do the album, then we'll figure out this.
Which
should be soon, though.
Yes, which it's getting there. It's in the final mastering, as far as I know.
It is.
Fabulous.
John Farrell recorded us at Spoon Studio, and John has been mixing me since I've been here. He's been mixing my shows in bars for 15, 16, maybe 17 years. He's been doing it for a while, so he knows the sound, he knows my playing, and he's a fabulous guy to work with. And I've heard some of the rough mixes, and goddamn, they sound good. They sound really good. I'm really excited for other folks to hear them.
Well, now I'm really excited. I was a little disappointed when you told me it wasn't completely done yet, and I couldn't get a chance to hear anything. I was like, oh, come on!
I was really hoping we'd have something. Now, you folks at home, if you check out our Facebook page and also our Instagram page, God's Holy Blood, I do have recent concert footage of us with decent quality sound. It gives you an idea of what our stage show looks like and what our sound is. And it's pretty good. It's actually decent live recordings and good quality video. So, it's worth checking out if you want to see what the band sounds like, see what it looks like.
It's a really good angle on YouTube. It's right. It's the low camera. It's angled right up at Andy's crotch. It's great.
Well, Mike positioned the camera. That was Mike's camera.
It was Mike's choice.
I don't know why he wanted to point it at my crotch. I'm going to start stuffing it
Yeah,
if this
yeah,
keeps
you
up.
gotta be ready. Give everyone a show from every
Yes,
angle. You know.
yes. It's all about showmanship.
I love it. I love it. Let's pause for a quick second and talk about the name, God's Holy Blood. Like I kind of said in the beginning, it just kind of oozes heavy metal references almost. Is this kind of a spin-off of another name? I mean, how did this formulate and come about?
Well, it's the funny thing is, to you and me, it has that sort of a vibe to it. But I've had some other people say, "Well, it sounds kind of like a Christian rock band," and I'm like, "No, that's not. No, that's not. Oh, that's the wrong." So sometimes I'm concerned that it sounds like something it's not. But the name God's Holy Blood, it came to me just out of nowhere over well over a year ago, well before the beginning of the band. I thought of it and I immediately wrote it down as like, oh, that's a pretty metal band name. Next time I start a band, I'm gonna use this name, and that's what I did. I just whenever I think of a really awesome band name, I write it down and save it for later in case I need it. And this one came in handy. It's one of those things where you create the thing and then you figure out what it means later.
Okay.
So it's almost like God's holy blood. Like it's almost a Buddhist concept where all of us as beings are part of the Godhead. We're all God's holy blood. We're all blood cells of the Godhead. So it can be something like that. I think is a fun way to think of it.
I think it's menstruation.
It could be if you think of the goddess. Goddess, the menstruation of the goddess. Also life-giving. Stuff like that. There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff there you could come up with, but it's all sort of the same. It's all sort of the same idea.
Yeah. So kind of open to interpretation then is what the angle is.
It's just like much art. It's it's open to the interpretation of the beholder.
It was funny when Andy came up with the band name. It was early in the pandemic scheming that the name come up, and I was like, are we married to that? Is that negotiable? And he said, not negotiable at all. And I'm like, okay, great, it's good. I don't have a say. And on the point of hoping we're not sounding like a Christian rock band, I was very happy when I was looking on Instagram. God's Holy Blood wasn't taken, so our name is just God's Holy Blood. But since I searched that to see if the name was taken, in my feed for the band, it's like interspersed with like Bible groups, and it keeps suggesting suggesting pages that are like legitimately religious-y, and at least me, I'm the opposite. So I'm like, oh, I don't think like God's Holy Blood. It's like a little sarcastic. It's more sacrilegious. Like you guys are you're barking up the wrong tree with these ads. Like you gotta. Hopefully they'll get it soon.
Well, it's the algorithm, baby.
The algorithm. We need to get the algorithm on track.
If you're me and like I'll get ads for like baby clothes or something like that, and I just shout at my phone and say no. Hopefully it'll get it. No, but hopefully it'll get it one of these days. So we'll see. We'll get there. All right, so we got the name, you got your album in the works, it's coming out this summer, you guys are playing Homegrown, you guys have got a number of shows lined up. I love the costume choices that I'm seeing here. It's very reminiscent of Kiss and a little Alice Cooper sprinkled in. It's, I love it. You guys got kind of the black leather going on, the face painting, all of that. Was that part of the shtick that you came up with in the beginning?
Yeah, that's all very conceptual stuff from the early days of just us sitting around at the beginning of the pandemic, just thinking up shit, and it's the whole concept of the band is we're trying to bring something to the local scene that really isn't there.
Okay.
We're trying to bring back the showmanship, the pageantry of rock and roll, the way it was, exactly like that with Alice Cooper, Kiss, black metal, Norwegian black metal to a certain extent. Just the face paint and the costumes, or at least like costume elements. I don't really wear a costume, but I dress rock and roll. I wear my bullet belt and my rings. And Starr is the front woman, so she really goes all out. In fact, we've now incorporated a costume change for her during our sets, which is fun. So we really want to do something that nobody's doing, and it might be a little cheesy, and it might be kind of a throwback, but I think it's a lot of fun, and
I love it.
Everything you don't really see anything like this locally, and I think that gives us a little bit of an edge, a little bit of intrigue, and it just it lets us just be almost a little silly, like we're a serious band, but we're not trying to be too earnest about things.
I think it's like kind of sardonic. Like we got some almost silly songs, but like a lot of our songs are like legitimately.
Yeah, it's not
cool.
It's not satire.
It's not a joke, but it is. We are making fun of something, but also honoring it. It's an homage. It's also, but I just love a show. I love the performance.
Yeah. We have, well, actually, we don't perform as Andy and Starr and John and Mike. We have special names for the band. Starr is Saint Stella Gothica. I perform as Lord Lucian Frostax. John drums as Alistair the Apostate. And Mike is actually just Mike, because his true band name is so evil and demonic that if you were to utter it, it would open up a portal to hell. Yeah. So we just call him Mike.
Yes. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. You guys have completely embraced God's Holy Band and the persona that it is about. I absolutely love it. I love that you've found kind of a niche to fill here in the Northland. I mean, you don't really see many kind of heavy metal gothic bands. You also don't see people that go full out in costume and put on a really rager show. I've seen both of you perform before, so I know this show is good. You guys are both fabulous. So I was ecstatic when I heard that you guys had formed a band together. I was absolutely phenomenal. Starr, can we talk about the vocals for a little bit?
Sure.
Are you getting kind of nitty gritty and grungy with your vocals? Are you trying to keep it kind of clear and precise? Is it a crossover of the two? What do you got going on?
That's a great question. So my background is like opera. When I was in high school and stuff, I was in church choir and I was doing voice training, and I think that laid a lot of really great foundation. But I also feel like it was a little bit of a disconnect. I was in church choir and I was singing opera songs, but at home in my headphones I was listening to punk music. And I was like, I really enjoy singing this, but I don't like listen to opera, and I can feel my voice getting stronger, but I don't like sound like the bands I listen to, and I don't, I was a soprano, so it wasn't, it's not terribly edgy, it's high squeaky stuff. And so I got away from that for a while, and I wasn't doing a lot of singing. And so now it's been a really fun sort of personal growing project to, bring the sort of the strength and the technique that I learned and the sort of, just classical good singing. I like good enunciated words. I'm a choir girl. I like people understanding what I'm saying. But also, I'll go through YouTube videos teaching me how to scream, and I'm trying, the things that they definitely taught me not to do, or sort of pushing things that I didn't push before. I can definitely, it's all a growing process. The voice is a muscle, so it's fun hearing my voice change, pushing it in ways I haven't before. I say right now, the main tonal quality is I go for the belt. Most of it's a strong belt. I'm not trying to I don't want to fake any grittiness that I don't really have. So I'm trying to develop those qualities, but I guess just trying to do sort of the truest sound the strongest sound. A lot of times I'm going for noise, the loudest I can be.
Right.
And I also I really like to channel Stella, Saint Stella, because she has a persona. Like, Saint Stella Gothica is a different person from me.
Okay.
And she's, she's angry a lot when she's singing. And there's a lot of more fuck you in her voice. And, she's somewhere between a cross between a dominatrix and it's probably just a dominatrix, actually. Just, really intense, really in charge. And so it's fun trying to channel that in the singing.
Yeah. Sounds like she commands the stage.
She tries to. I'm trying to get more confident in that. I mean, I've always loved performing, but I'm human. I get stage fright and everything, and it's definitely fun when I feel Stella sinking in. There's always the beginning nerves. I'm like, oh, what if I start the song wrong? But then I get jamming around, and then I'm like, oh yeah. And then it's like, oh yeah, Stella doesn't give a fuck. Stella's here to feel the music, and if they don't like it, they can fuck themselves. So then once Stella sets in, it's great. And I just sort of let her take over, and she's rolling on the floor, doing headbangs to Andy's guitar solos. It just sort of all the stuff that Starr maybe shouldn't do in public. She should behave herself. Stella's nah, I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
Good. Fabulous. So it's kind of a way for you to let out that alter ego in a way, and let it out in a really fun way as well.
100%. Yes.
Fabulous. Where does Saint Gothica want to go with the band? Where is she hoping to kind of end up? Are you looking at bringing in flamethrowers or anything like that?
Oh my God, I would love. We've talked about the dream of pyrotechnics before. I'm just if we ever got to this stage where we could set stuff on fire, I'm so down.
We gotta get Mike to start bringing the fog machine.
The fog machine back.
Yeah, we had it for our very first show, and then we never saw it again.
Yeah, something broke, I think. No, I'd love to go bigger. I'd love to develop my voice more, develop our, getting a larger category of songs so we can mix it up more. I mean, trying to incorporate this costume change. I'd love to do more. We've got ideas of we could set up a fan so it does my hair crazy.
Yeah.
Love to have a fog machine.
Yeah, there's lots of things.
All that stuff. Takes time and it can be expensive. But I'd love it to be a show. I'd love to get down to the cities and put on shows.
Right.
Yeah. I'd love that.
Awesome. Let's talk about the lyrics a little bit. You had mentioned that your drummer aids in writing the lyrics and things like that. Andy, are you writing a lot of the lyrics, or is this really a team effort here?
The lyrics are really split between me and Starr. John helps a lot with riffs and instrumental kind of stuff, but we're basically the lyricists of the group.
Okay.
We have a couple we've written actively together, brainstorming together, but we also sometimes do them differently, and it's definitely been interesting seeing our different styles.
Yeah.
Which I think create a good range for our songs. It's not all sort of the same tone.
Yeah.
I think it all lends itself in, but it's definitely Andy goes a little more fantastical.
If I wrote all the songs, they'd all be about outer space and
wizards.
Fucking wizards. Yeah.
He goes fantastical. I go a little more personal. Not just feelings. I don't know how to describe it.
Introspective.
Sorry.
You go introspective.
Kind of, or just more interpersonal. I usually try to have a meaning or a kind of metaphor in there too. Whereas sometimes, I don't know, does yours have metaphor?
No, man, I just write fucking rock and roll for rock and roll. I'm not trying to give lessons.
He's rock and roll.
I'm not trying to teach life lessons here.
I'm not trying to teach
I'm trying
lessons.
to rock out.
I'm not trying to teach lessons, but often I'm trying to access something that I don't feel like I've been able to convey in other ways, or trying to access something that I think maybe other people feel and haven't had a way to say it, be it a way you interact with something, or I don't know, like I wrote our song "I'm Your Nightmare," which was mostly me.
No, you wrote all the lyrics.
I wrote all of it, and that one for me was like
that was one that you wrote the lyrics, and John came up with sort of the main guitar
That's true. So
parts.
you were that was not Andy.
I didn't write much of that. I arranged parts, but
sure.
That was a you guys thing.
Well, that one is fun because it came up with the first like couplet. It's saying enemies are for teenage girls and supervillains, and it's just sort of a line I thought of, just sort of like what it's like being a teenage girl and how it can be really hard, and there's a lot of spite. And there's another line in there that's like, they say sticks and stones can break your bones, but like I'll destroy you with my words. Those aren't the lyrics, but that's sort of the idea. So like, and just sort of like, and the chorus is "I'm your nightmare," just being like, yeah, I'm a girl, but you should be scared of me. Like I could ruin your life. So it's like it's not literal confessional lyrics, but it is like trying to access a feeling that like I think a lot of us gals could relate to, if that makes sense.
So it's about empowerment, is that right?
Yeah, I guess it is. It's Stella's version of empowerment. There's a lot of fuck yous in it, but it's I don't know, that seems oversimplified, but that's probably more concise.
I was gonna say it almost sounds kind of like a little revenge song in there.
I think it's empowerment / revenge. It's a little like it's definitely a little bitter. It's not like rising above. It's like I'm gonna take you down for this. Like you can't get away from me. So yeah, I like that. So that's what I mean. It's not like a moral. It's more like a feeling, a vibe I want to convey.
And whereas my last song was about like a race of humanoid aliens that lives under the ocean.
Yeah, his are just straight up trippy.
My songs are just
stories.
My songs are just Joe Rogan episodes.
And he's like, dude, this would be cool. Let's write a song about it. I'm like, does it like mean something? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, great, I'll sing it. So it's a fun juxtaposition. I think it all sort of blends together. You know, I can get down with the fantasy stuff. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
But I guess I try and go a little more poetic, maybe.
Sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, Andy, that sounds a little reminiscent of Led Zeppelin there a little bit.
Oh, yeah, well, that's a huge influence. Mm-hmm. You know, that's definitely an influence, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. So when God's Holy Blood, when this album drops, where can people find it? Will it be available on iTunes, Bandcamp, Amazon? Are you doing physical releases?
Oh, man, we're doing all of it.
All of
the above. It's going to be available on Bandcamp. We're going to have some CDs available for sure. A very limited run of LPs.
Are you officially going to do that?
I really hope to. I think it should fit in the budget. Mm-hmm. I hope it'll fit in the budget, but we do want to have physical items and digital downloads. And I can tell you right now, the digital downloads will be free, and then we will have physical things for a fee.
Mm-hmm.
All right, excellent. Half of God's Holy Band over Facebook video with me this afternoon. This has been another edition of the 9 O'Clock Meltdown podcast. Andy, Starr, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to talk about the new band, God's Holy Blood. I wish you the best of luck with Homegrown. I know you guys will rock it. Why I'm even wishing you guys luck. You're fine. You're fine. But we'll talk soon. I'm excited for the album to come out. Keep me posted on that. You can check out God's Holy Blood on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks,
Crystal.